The Young and the Restless Spoilers, the betrayal unveiled. Nate's shocking discovery: the reunion between Damian and Amy was everything Nate Hastings had hoped it would be, or so it seemed. As Damian embraced Amy, tears streaming down his face, Nate stood in the corner of the room, watching the emotional scene unfold with a sense of accomplishment. For years, Amy had longed to find her son, and now, Nate had made that dream a reality. It's all worth it, Nate thought to himself, smiling faintly as he observed the pair. But something about the interaction nagged at him, a subtle tension that didn't quite fit the heartfelt moment. He dismissed it as his own overthinking, yet the feeling lingered. A perfect reunion? Amy and Damian spent hours together, talking, laughing, and recounting stories. Damian, though unsure of his true connection to Amy, treated her with warmth and affection. Amy, for her part, played the role of the doting mother perfectly, showering Damian with love and validation. "Nate," Amy said at one point, turning to him with a grateful smile, "I can't thank you enough for this. You've given me a chance I thought I'd never have." Nate nodded, his heart swelling with pride. Yet, as he left the room to give them privacy, a flicker of doubt crossed his mind. Something felt off, too rehearsed, too deliberate. Unable to shake the feeling, he decided to trust his instincts. Nate's suspicion grows later that evening. Nate found himself standing outside the door to Amy's hotel room, his heart pounding as he debated whether to act on his suspicions. He hadn't planned to eavesdrop, but something compelled him to stay. Quietly, he pressed his ear to the door. Inside, Amy and Damian were deep in conversation. Their voices were low but clear enough for Nate to hear. "Remember," Amy was saying, her tone firm, "you need to play this carefully. Gain Nate's trust. Be the perfect little brother he's always wanted." Damian's voice held a mix of frustration and resignation. "I know, but this whole long-lost son thing feels risky. What if he finds out?" Amy laughed coldly. "He won't. Nate is too emotional, too desperate for family. He's blind to what's right in front of him. Just stick to the plan, Damian. Once we're in, we'll divide the assets and disappear." Nate's world crumbles. The words hit Nate like a freight train. His breath caught in his throat as the reality of the situation sank in. Amy and Damian weren't mother and son, they were co-conspirators, manipulating him with a fabricated story to steal his wealth and destabilize his life. How could she? Nate thought, anger and betrayal coursing through him. He had gone out of his way to fulfill Amy's wishes, trusting her as a friend and confidant. And Damian, the brother Nate had longed for, was nothing more than a pawn in a cruel and calculated game. Nate clenched his fists, his mind racing. He wanted to burst into the room, to confront them and expose their lies. But he stopped himself. If he acted rashly, they might deny everything or destroy evidence. Instead, he decided to play along, keeping his newfound knowledge to himself while planning his next move. The master manipulator, Amy's scheme. Inside the room, Amy continued to outline her plan with chilling precision. "You need to appeal to his emotions," she instructed Damian. "Nate is driven by his need to help people, to feel like he's doing the right thing. Use that. Make him feel sorry for you." Damian sighed, his frustration evident. "I'm trying, but Devin and Lily are harder to fool. They're not buying into this whole family thing." Amy waved a hand dismissively. "Devin's irrelevant. Focus on Nate. Once we've secured his trust, the rest will fall into place." Nate's pain and resolve. Nate slipped away from the door, his mind a whirlwind of emotions. Anger, sadness, and disbelief all swirled within him. How could Amy, someone he had trusted so deeply, betray him like this? And Damian, the brother he had hoped would bring joy and connection into his life, was nothing but a fraud. But Nate was not one to crumble under pressure. If Amy and Damian wanted to play games, he would beat them at their own. He would gather evidence, expose their lies, and protect himself from their schemes. A new plan. Over the next few days, Nate acted as though nothing had changed. He continued to spend time with Damian, offering support and guidance as a brother would. Meanwhile, he enlisted the help of a private investigator to dig into Amy's and Damian's pasts. The more he learned, the more damning the evidence became. Behind closed doors, Nate confided in Devon, sharing everything he had overheard. Devon's reaction was as expected: outrage and determination. "They think they can mess with our family?" Devon said, his voice low and dangerous. "They have no idea who they're dealing with." The confrontation to come as Nate and Devon prepared to confront Amy and Damian, the tension in Genoa City grew palpable. Nate's pain had turned to resolve, and his focus was sharper than ever. He would ensure that Amy and Damian paid for their betrayal, not just for himself but for the family they had tried to manipulate. The day of reckoning was near, and when it came, the fallout would be explosive. This story now builds to a climactic confrontation, with Nate caught in a web of deceit but determined to emerge victorious. Would you like to continue exploring the next stage, where Nate and Devon confront Amy and Damian, or delve deeper into the aftermath of the betrayal? Unmasking deceit, Nate's bold move. Nate Hastings had endured enough. The betrayal by Amy and Damian was a deep wound, but Nate wasn't a man who allowed himself to be defeated. He saw the situation as an opportunity, not just to expose the truth, but also to confront Damian's potential as a true member of the family. If Damian was indeed his brother, there was still hope to steer him toward a better path. Gathering evidence before making any moves, Nate ensured he had irrefutable evidence of Amy and Damian's scheme. With the help of a private investigator, he uncovered Amy's history of deception, including past cons targeting wealthy individuals. He also gathered recordings of her conversations with Damian, proving their intent to manipulate and steal from him. Nate wasn't just interested in exposing Amy's lies. He wanted to answer the burning question: was Damian truly his brother? To confirm this, Nate arranged a DNA test, surreptitiously obtaining a sample from Damian. While waiting for the results, Nate prepared for the confrontation that would determine their futures. The public confrontation. Nate decided to reveal the truth in a setting where Amy and Damian couldn't deny their actions. He invited the Winters family, as well as a few trusted friends, to a formal dinner under the guise of introducing Damian officially. Amy and Damian arrived, both unaware of what Nate had planned. As the dinner progressed, Nate stood to make a toast. With a calm yet commanding voice, he began, "Family means everything to me. It's why I welcomed Amy and Damian into my life, believing they were part of that family. But sometimes, appearances can be deceiving." The room fell silent. Amy shifted uncomfortably, sensing the tension. Damian glanced nervously at her, unsure of what was about to happen. Nate continued, "What I've discovered in the past few weeks has been difficult to accept, but the truth is something we can't ignore. Amy, Damian, I know about your plan to manipulate me and steal from my family." Revealing the evidence, Nate turned to Damian. "You played the role of the long-lost brother well. But I overheard your conversation with Amy. I know she's not your mother, and I know you've been following her orders to gain my trust." Damian froze, his face pale. "Nate, Nate held up a hand, silencing him. "I'm not finished. I also know Amy has a history of cons, using people like you to achieve her goals. And I have the evidence to prove it." He played an audio recording of their conversation, the damning words echoing in the room. Amy's face twisted into anger and fear, while Damian looked down, ashamed. Damian's identity confirmed with the room in stunned silence, Nate revealed the final piece of the puzzle. "I had a DNA test done, Damian. Despite everything, I needed to know if you really are my brother." He took a deep breath before delivering the results. "And you are. You are my brother." Gasps filled the room. Damian's head snapped up, his eyes wide with a mix of shock and hope. But Nate wasn't finished. "That means you still have a chance to be part of this family," Nate said, his voice firm. "But only if you prove you're willing to change. I won't tolerate manipulation, lies, or betrayal. If you want a future with this family, you'll have to earn it." Amy's downfall. Nate turned his attention to Amy, his voice cold. As for you, Amy, your games end here. You've caused enough damage. I've already reported your actions to the authorities, and I'll make sure you're held accountable. Amy's composure shattered. She tried to plead her case, but the evidence was overwhelming. Security escorted her out of the house, leaving Damian alone to face the consequences. A path to redemption for Damian. After the confrontation, Nate and Damian had a private conversation. Damian, visibly shaken, confessed, "I didn't know what else to do. Amy promised me a way out, a way to have something better. I didn't think it would come to this." Nate's voice softened, but his resolve remained. "You made mistakes, Damian. But you're my brother, and I believe you can be better. This is your chance to start over. But it won't be easy." Damian nodded, tears in his eyes. "I'll do whatever it takes, Nate. I want to be part of this family, for real this time." The road ahead. In the weeks that followed, Nate took Damian under his wing, guiding him through the process of rebuilding trust. It wasn't an easy journey. Damian had to confront his past, take responsibility for his actions, and prove his commitment to the family. But with Nate's support, he began to make progress. The Winters family, while cautious, gradually opened their hearts to Damian. Devon remained skeptical, but Lily, ever the optimist, encouraged Damian to keep working toward redemption. As for Nate, he learned a powerful lesson about trust and forgiveness. Though Amy's betrayal had left scars, the opportunity to reconnect with Damian as a true brother was a source of hope and healing. This chapter sets up Damian's redemption arc and showcases Nate's strength and compassion in the face of betrayal. Would you like to explore Damian's journey further, or perhaps delve into how the family reacts as they navigate this new dynamic?